Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warrior Wrap-Up here on HBC Channel 25. Justin Barrientos, along with football head coach Tom Sawyer, and a lot to be happy about this week as 58-3 win over Minnesota State University Moorhead. I guess let's just get it right into it and talk about the offense played well. The defense held Moorhead to 1 yard rushing, which is just incredible. What's your reaction to that?
Well, yeah, we were just really excited. I mean, it was a perfect day. We had a lot of students out there. The community came out. They had the Maury Miller football kids out there running around at halftime. So for an opening game of the year on Maxwell Field, I thought it was awesome. And as you mentioned, our offense, we had a few penalties early that I'm not real excited about, but really we handled that well. Our offensive line dominated. All three quarterbacks played well. We had a backup running back that rushed for 100 in Theo Burkett, and our defense was stellar. They really did a nice job, and when it buckled down, they did get the ball in the red zone. We really played well. So overall, great day, and we had a punt return for a touchdown. So really, all parts were clicking pretty well. We need to clean it up a little bit for the next game, but what a great way to open up the season, at home, and it's fun for our seniors in their last year.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell on the negatives too much, but let's talk about those penalties, because you had two that were called touchdowns back. You were eventually scored, but that was right in a row, two of them. And then there was, right after the kick return for the touchdown, you had the bad formation where you didn't have enough people on the line. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think up front there's a couple things. There's one that we were either snapped the ball late when guys jumped, or there was a couple of those. We had some holding penalties, and I think one of the things our kids have to learn is you have to learn how the game is being called. If they're calling it close, and if you're hanging on guys and they're calling it, you got to quit doing it. Then you just got to cut them down. The second thing is, if they're aggressive penalties, we can handle it. Then there was a couple that were kind of iffy. So, but we have to play to the officials. If it's a loose game, then you can fly around. If they're calling it tight, we got to play that way. So that's something we can learn from. And also, I think that in the special teams part of it, in that particular play, we had two penalties because we kicked it out of bounds too.
Yeah.
So we had an excellent day on our special teams except for that one. But that was a huge mistake. It's an alignment and assignment, and there's no excuse for any mistakes on that. You need to know how to line up and where to run to and where to be, and then it's your physical ability from that point. And so mental mistakes I don't handle so well, but physical ones we can deal with.
Okay, before we get to the highlights, let's talk a little bit more about the special teams. You had Curtis Dewberry, a 60-yard return for a kick, and then they stopped kicking to Curtis Dewberry, which you can understand that. You put Derek Engel back there. He almost busted to the house. Tell us about the special teams.
Well, yeah, and we also have Eric Swan, and we have a couple other guys that were kind of hurt a little bit too. But Curtis is special. When he touches a football, anything can happen, as you saw. I'm really excited for him to get his first return touchdown off the punt, and Derek Engel is just flat out fast. And you've seen him at receiver. He had a big day at receiving too. But we got Kurt out of there, give him a little break, and put Derek in, and he took the thing all the way to the 1 yard line and got ran down by the punter. And so we've been picking on him about that. But nonetheless, it's just that's the kind of talent we have right now, and in the open field, those guys are dangerous. So it's really exciting for the people to watch and see what kind of talent we really have in those skill positions.
All right, well, 58-3 score, so there's a lot of highlights. Let's get to it, and let's see this win over Minnesota State Moorhead.
Sounds good. Like I said, it was a beautiful day, and they were a little more physical than we thought, but we really handled it well. And like you said earlier, 1 yard rushing was unbelievable with a couple sats. There's our version of the Wildcat. Theo Burkett handling it there, and you can see how fast he is. And I always say the kid runs angry, and he really runs with a purpose, and that's a lot of fun. This young kid kicking the field goal right here, Thomas Kinney, is a pretty special kid as well. Illinois kid. Hey, there's my two kids. Anyway, it's really fun to see a young freshman kicker come in and really make a difference in the game. Defense, again, trying to get after the ball. We did have one interception. Ryan Yergel caught a ball. I think we'll be on the highlights here a little bit, but you can see in our offense, again, we're trying to get the ball to a lot of different people, play action pass, run the ball well. We rushed for about 267 yards or something like that, and also our quarterbacks did very well. And when Brian Bradshaw came in the game, first pass ever as a college athlete and threw a strike to Kyle Melcher. So kind of fun, but you kind of see the kind of speed that we have in the game.
Let's quickly talk about that, because usually you would let somebody hand off or get into the game. He goes right down the middle and almost has a touchdown pass.
Yeah, we called play action. It was just part of the game, and we didn't care who a quarterback was in. And yeah, he didn't have time to really warm up or anything. We just said, you're in the next series, and he threw a couple balls on the sideline. But that's the kind of athlete he is, and as he builds his confidence, he's really going to be. I mean, it's a challenge, for the job here as the season goes on. There's Curtis flying around. Not too many people are going to catch that kid. He's a very fast kid, low 4.4, low 4.3, And now here's some young defensive linemen flying around there and linebackers and another very active and athletic group. Rayon Simmons hustling down that sideline. A thing to really notice is the job that our receivers are doing downfield. They've really taken some pride in that part of the game. Derek Engel again. Of course, those guys thought they should pitch it to him. But Evan Aber throwing a strike, down the pipe, and diving in. I mean, that's ESPN-type highlights right there. But a lot of fun, and you see our students down there having a great time and great crowd, and it was really a lot of fun. This is Ryan Yergel. He's a senior safety and a really good kid, a great athlete, and a guy's getting out in front of blocking and those kind of things. But you can see even Coach Holstead getting a little bit of that, having some fun on the sidelines with the Warriors.
Impressive vertical by Yergel to get that interception.
I know. We couldn't believe he can jump that high, actually, but he did a great job. And there's Rayon taking it in from a yard out. Again, defensive swarming around. You see the pressure. That play right there is by Chris Nordgaard, corner, sophomore kid from Spring Lake Park.
Let's talk about that defense just for a little bit, too, because when we got the halftime stats, there was 1 yard rushing at halftime. Do you know that? Does the team want to keep that?
They hand us a copy of them, but I never look at them. It's kind of a bad omen. It doesn't matter to me. You know, we've never won a game with first half stats, so I don't pay attention to it. I have a tendency chart that we use that's much more valuable than what statistics would be. But so that we get them, I just don't look at them. Some of our coaches do. I'm just kind of superstitious that way. Big play right there. That's Pete Langenham going crazy there, having some fun. And there's Brian Bradshaw on his first pass down to Kyle Melcher, the sophomore tight end from Owatonna. And, it's a good way to get your career started. But he had a great day. I think he was 6 for 7 and no interception. So this play right here was an unbelievable run by Theo Burkett. Made 5 people miss and then just fell over. I asked him if he got tired or what the deal was. But Rayon taking in his second touchdown. And, again, we had 4 rushing touchdowns and a couple passes as well, of course. Big sack right there. That's Elliot Galkey, senior linebacker, having some fun there late in the game. And here's the return by Engel.
Yeah.
Watch him hit this thing in about his 4th stride. Right about here, he hits it. It's like, see ya. Just flat out speed, but that's the punter.
Did he run out of gas?
Watching the show, that's the punter. That kid actually plays cornerback too, so he's a pretty good athlete. And then a Bradshaw first touchdown pass, and that's the Sean Hurts on the fade route in the back of the end zone, the old simultaneous catch.
Yeah. Here's the
92, there's Matt Catterley, one of our guests today. I had a great game for us. He was our Defensive Player of the Week this week and had an outstanding day. That's Tyler Spear. His dad played here back in the day, played quarterback for the Warriors, and now his son's here playing, and I think he had 4 or 5 catches on the day. Really did a nice job. A little extracurricular there from the Moorhead Dragons. We kind of like that stuff.
Yeah, it gives you extra yards.
Yep, that's right.
It's got to be great as a coach to be able to have all these different weapons. As we said, Theo Burkett, basically the 3rd back, and he gets 100 yards in the game.
Yeah, and he's, for 90% of the teams that we play, he'd be their top back. We're just that loaded right now. Just happened to be, great recruiting over the last couple of years to get those guys, and then Rayon transferred in, so we really got lucky in having a full stable. And here's a kid that's usually a blocking back for us, but you can see the power and speed in which Mike Houts can do. And, of course, our favorite position of all time is the victory formation. So.
Let's quickly talk about one thing, and I don't want to steal a question that you have for our upcoming guest, Jason Enos, but the offensive line has not allowed a sack in the 2 games that you have.
You had to go and say that now, didn't you? Yeah.
Sorry.
No, they've been doing great. And we've had some mixed up lineups. We've had a couple kids get hurt, and they're just doing a great job. And that's anchored by Jason and Casey Clark, 2 of our captains. And we had a couple holding penalties, but nobody's touching our quarterbacks. When you got really first-year quarterbacks back there for their first time, you got that kind of protection. They can sit back and relax, know that they're pretty well protected.
All right, we talked about the depth of the team. You had 3 quarterbacks play in the game. How much exactly did Bradshaw see in the game, and Alex Nelson as well towards the end of the game? I know the couple of handoffs, but some passes. What did you see in them that you liked?
Well, I think you saw what we like about Bradshaw is he's a decision maker. He makes a decision. He throws the ball on time, and he threw a couple that kind of threaded the needle in there. And Alex is a guy working off that thumb injury, so we wondered how he came in. It was a time where we were kind of just running the ball, but when he did throw the little bubble screen out there, he checked into that and threw it. We really didn't want to do it, but he made the read, threw it out there, and he threw it nice. So that was good to see. So really the leadership of those three guys. I don't think anybody on our team really cares which one plays, but you saw the kind of talent they have, and there's a narrow gap really between each of those on who would be the starter for each week.
Sure. Now, as far as wide receivers, I'd lost count on how many you had in there that actually caught a pass, which is incredible. How many do you think you'll run in a rotation this year?
Well, the problem is we're on the road this week,
Yeah.
so we'll probably only bring 7 of them, and then that, it doesn't hurt us, but when we're at home, we got 9 guys or 10 guys really fighting for, it's like defensive line guys. It's the same thing. There's so many good ones. It's really hard to make that decision. So it's kind of who has the best practice and who can be on those special teams for those receivers to see which ones we'll bring to St. Cloud.
Okay, and then one more stat that jumped out at me. Moorhead was 0 for 10 on third down conversions in the game. Just incredible by the defense.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. There was a couple firsts for me in the football game after 30 years of watching football here at Winona, but never have seen anybody go 0 for on third down conversions, and I've never seen an official have a inadvertent beanbag. We had one of those in the game too. So no, a lot of fun, but that's a credit to our defense, Justin, because last year in our pass defense, especially in and third down conversions, we didn't do a very good job last year. So it's an area of focus, and it's really starting to show up that we've spent some time on it.
All right, well, let's get the player perspective now. We'll take a break here on Warrior Wrap-Up. When we come back, Coach Sawyer will talk with offensive lineman Jason Enos right after this.
Sometimes life isn't about doing the popular thing or even the cost-effective thing. Many times it's simply about doing the right thing. When HBC did not receive the grant needed to construct a network in Minneaska, we were disappointed. But we immediately went to the drawing board, and we are going to be delivering what we promised. Sometimes it's all about making the right decision. So welcome, Minneaska.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was a mobile phone company where you could actually get great customer service? Well, the wait is over. Full mobile phone service is now available at HBC. With plans starting as low as $40 a month on the nation's largest coverage map, HBC Mobile has a plan for everyone. Individual, family, data, they're all available. And they all come with the personal customer service you've come to expect from HBC. Stop in today at 58 Johnson Street, Winona to see how you can get a free phone. HBC Mobile. Service you can trust.
And welcome back to the Warrior Wrap-Up. Tom Sawyer here with Jason Enos, and of course we're trying to get comfortable in these big chairs. But Jason, thanks for coming over today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Coach.
Well, we jumped in, talked a little bit about that offensive line play. Why don't you tell the folks how things are going up front as one of our elected captains, and what's kind of the state of the union for that offensive line in the first 2 ball games?
We think it's going pretty well around there. Little lineup changes. We lost James Poliquin in camp, and Nick Faber stepped in. And he's the biggest guy on the team, but we got his feet moving. Coaches got him wearing ankle weights and stuff like that. It's kind of funny just to mess with him, but he's really done a good job. And Matt Mason and Corey Christensen have been fighting it out at left guard, and that's always fun to watch. And you never know who's going to come through that week. It's just who Coach Blazek's playing mind games with, pretty much. But we're getting along pretty well. Me and Lila are getting our stuff together, and Casey's holding down the left side over there, and we're just, we grind it out every day, and we just want to run the ball. So
you talk about with that kind of a mixed match lineup a little bit. Even from the first game, you line up and you got a guy who's never started a football game on the right side, and big Nick Faber, and he's got a high school teammate in Rick Lilla at center in his first game ever, and here's a senior sitting in between. Did you have concerns, or were you excited for them, or what was it like with those 2 rookies on either side of you?
I had concerns in camp, but I talked to Coach about it, and I talked to Casey about it, and we pretty much just said that we weren't going to help them out. We were just kind of let them learn by fire. And the first game wasn't a conference game. Obviously we wanted to win big time, but I wasn't gonna. There was one play in particular where Nick let his guy come in, and I saw it, and I didn't do anything about it. And it was just look at him, fix that next time, and he started making that call in the games. And we're just trying to let these guys learn themselves, and we don't want to take it easy on them.
One of the goals we always have, of course, is what you love is to run the football, and a lot of those backs have had some articles in the paper and all that stuff, which is fantastic. But what's it like knowing that you always got fresh legs behind you? Is that fun for you guys as an offensive line?
It's great. You never know who's coming in the next play. It's always, hey, what's up, Theo? Come on, Kurt, let's do it. And Ray's always starting the game, but It's always nice to have somebody back there, and when we run that Wildcat, they're all back there, and we know who's getting it, but nobody else does. So it's just great having those guys. And in the Moorhead game, we wish we could have broken off some bigger runs, but they were playing pretty backed off, so we knew we had to grind it the whole game, which wasn't what we wanted, but we almost got our goal of 300 yards rushing.
You bet. Now, another thing that Justin asked me about earlier was our penalties, and we had a couple holding calls and those kind of things. But talk to us a little bit about what happens in that case where, people are calling you for holding, you're kind of wondering what's wrong. How do you interpret that as the game's going on?
Well, I just interpret it as we're not getting low enough, we're not moving our feet enough. And some of the holding calls were missed assignments, and other guys were trying to make up for it. And then some of them were just the guys were playing back, and they were putting their hands in the air because they didn't want to let up a touchdown of 1 of 3. So, we just kind of put our heads down, let it go behind us. Obviously being an older guy, it'll bug me, and I can go on and use that as fuel. But, the younger guys, we just say, hey, let it go, Right now, we've been putting it in after we've been getting these penalties, and we've been getting back at it. So it's been kind of nice. We just kind of try to put our heads down and work through it.
Yeah, learn through it, absolutely. And, now as I talk about it, now that you're a senior and you've gone through a lot of trials, and here you are now a senior and a captain, what was it like playing that, first of your last games at Maxwell Field now as a senior?
It was pretty exciting. It was pretty emotional. Just running out there, being the one to hit the sign, break the paper. I was nervous I wasn't going to do it, and I brought some of it with me and all that stuff. And we got to the third quarter, and Coach said, you're coming out, you got up slow. And I said, I'll get up fast if you want to keep me in the whole game, Coach. And it's just, you never want to get out on Maxwell Field, whether you're getting out because we're winning or you're getting out because you screwed up. It's never a good feeling. It's always good to be on that field.
Now, being elected a captain, obviously it's something pretty special, but when we announced it that night in camp before the first game, what went through your mind about all the times you've had over here the last 5 years?
It was one of the best times I've had here. Just to hear that my teammates still respect me as a good player and as a leader on this team, and my coaches think it's right that I would be elected captain. It's just one of the best feelings I could have. I can look at my teammates and know that they'll follow me, and that they trust what I say, and I obviously trust what I say. But it's just nice to know that I'm a respected member of this team.
The last question I got for you isn't such a hard one or emotional one. It's what does this offense need to do to knock off the Huskies on the road up at St. Cloud?
Just play mistake-free football. We're going to put our heads down. Hopefully we go full pads 2 days this week, and we just want to grind them out and wear them down in the fourth quarter. So we're just throwing deep balls all day. Short drives, long drives, it doesn't matter. We just want to score points every time.
Sounds good. Well, you've been a tremendous leader in this football game or football team on the first part of the season. So continued success, stay healthy, and we'll take this ride up to St. Cloud.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach.
In a minute, we'll be back and talk to Matt Catterley, defensive end.
Did you know there's one location where you can get free discount coupons for multiple Winona area businesses?
It's just a click away with my.hbci.com.
From discounts on food and beverages to repair services.
My.hbci.com has coupons we know you can use.
And getting the coupons couldn't be easier. Go to my.hbci.com/coupons. Browse the page for the coupons you're looking for, click on the ones you want, and print.
It really is that easy.
Be sure to check back daily as new coupons are constantly being added and updated. Check it out and start saving today
with my.hbci.com.
Here in Winona that was made to honor the veteran.
Welcome to HBC Channel 25 News. I'm Dave Dickey. Thank you.
Aye, we're only through March, so you best be stopping in now. HBC Channel 25, Dean Beckman, Justin Barrientos, and Paul Van Beek.
And welcome back. Our second guest today is defensive end Matt Catterley. Matt, thanks for being here.
Yep.
I appreciate that. We're talking to Jason a little bit about the trip to St. Cloud, so let's start there, and we'll go backwards with you. But, talk about where the defense is and what do you think we need to continue on to get better and better before that second conference game at St. Cloud?
I think the defense is doing really well as of far. There's always things to improve on. We're playing fast, playing hard. I think the big thing to beat St. Cloud would be get those 3 turnovers that we always preach at practice. As long as we do that and everybody moves to the ball, we'll be all right.
You know, we talk a lot about, you know, getting 11 people to the ball, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, or whatever. And as people were watching the highlights, and just like when we saw you making the sack on the kid, you know, why is it so important to be at a play that might be 30 yards down the field, and why is that something special for our defense?
It's huge to be downfield because you never know with our defense, guys are ripping at the ball, trying to create turnovers, so it's important for you to always be there in case that ball does pop out. You can pick it up and make a big play for your defense.
You know, you're lining up, and we have a few games going on, but not a lot yet up front, but you're lining up on a big old tackle, and you're saying, okay, I got to get the quarterback. You know, it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12, something like that. What goes through your mind before the ball snapped?
It's pretty much all reaction. I'm obviously thinking about the play a little bit and where the other defensive linemen are coming, but just pretty much reacting to the offensive lineman and trying to get his hands off me or beat him around the edge to get to that quarterback.
You know, a lot of people see people in the pistol or in the shot or in the gun running the zone read game, which we're going to see again this week. Why is that so difficult to get the quarterbacks when they're, you know, only 3 or 4 yards off the line of scrimmage?
From a defensive end standpoint, it's harder because you focus on that quarterback setup where he's usually about 5 yards. It gives you a little more time to get to him. When he's up ahead a little bit farther, you got to make your moves early, and you got to make them quick and precise. Otherwise, you're just not going to have enough time to get there.
You know, pressure is great for our DBs, and you know, when those guys have great cover and the quarterback's got to pull it back down, and then you guys are there. When you're coming off that edge and the quarterback starts scrambling around, what's the first thing that goes through your mind?
Obviously, I just get excited. Hope that I got enough time to get there, and hope that we can create a little bit disturbance so he can maybe mess up and get like Ryan Yergo got a pick. Just doing a great job. Defense is working hard to get there. He messes up, makes a mistake, and that's what we want. We want those turnovers.
Make him pay for it.
Yep.
You know, we put in, obviously, as we installed a new defense this year when Coach Petrino came in the spring, and now we're starting to see how it works a little bit. Guys are getting a little bit more used to it. What's it been like for you in the transition? You got a couple new defensive line coaches and a new system. What's that transition been like for you?
It's been different. We had great coaches before, and now we got great coaches again. It's a whole new defense to learn. I thought everyone in the spring really adapted well to learning the stuff, and since then we've been able to play faster and play harder and more physical, so that's what it takes.
You know, you're in your 4th year of college right now and a junior here at Winona State. What are you studying?
I'm actually a health and physical education major with a DAPE licensure.
You know, it's a lot of schoolwork. It's a lot of stuff going on. How do you really manage a whole day and then still think about, you know, what you got to do on the football side of it, which we're putting in about 20 hours a week?
Well, just go to practice and go to the library afterwards. That's what it is pretty much. So.
Life in the trenches at the library, huh?
Yep.
Let's go back a little bit about talk a little more about our defense. You know, we got some younger guys, some older guys mixed in there. You got 2 old guys at linebacker though, and Elliott and Cody Dummer. When you're making the moves up front, how comforting is to know that you got those guys that have been around a while out behind you?
It's really comforting. I mean, those guys are great leaders. They're always getting guys lined up and barking out the calls and stuff, and it's really nice to know, you know, they're back there, they're going to make plays, and they're going to help you out. And it's a good feeling to know you got 2 good, strong leaders back there, linebacker.
You know, Jason mentioned something I think is really important, is that one of our things or goals that we want to do this year is really to be, you know, one of the best 4th quarter teams in the country. We seem to rotate a lot of defensive linemen. Tell people what that's all about.
Yeah, I mean, they just want to keep us fresh and keep us, you know, getting after the quarterback. It's really nice, actually. I think as a defensive line, we work well as a unit. Everybody's competing with each other. Everybody's joking around and having a good time. You know, they want to see each other do good, and it's good to have a unit that really supports each other and works hard. So,
you know, we talk about shutouts and we talk about only giving up 3 points and those kind of things, but what do you think are the top 2 things probably that our defense really tries to strive for each and every week?
Definitely the 3 turnovers. We preach that every day at practice. And then if you can hold the team to under 100 yards rushing, I think that's another big one that we preach. If you do that a lot of times, you give the offense a good chance to get in there and win football games.
Well, Matt, you had a great week. You're our Defensive Player of the Week, and we're very excited for you, and best of luck up at St. Cloud.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, in a minute, Justin will come back, and we'll talk a little bit more about our day trip up to St. Cloud.
Sometimes life isn't about doing the popular thing or even the cost-effective thing. Many times it's simply about doing the right thing. When HBC did not receive the grant needed to construct a network in Minneska, we were disappointed. But we immediately went to the drawing board and we are going to be delivering what we promised. Sometimes it's all about making the right decision. So welcome, Minneska.
And welcome back to Warrior Wrap Up, here to kind of wrap up things against Moorhead and talk about St. Cloud State. First, a couple more things about Moorhead and the season in general. You alluded to it when you were talking to your guest about the change in defense from a 4-3 to a 3-4. You change that and you become a stronger run defense. Is that kind of what you hoped for when you made the switch, or what was the goal?
Well, I think the whole goal was to it was to become fresh. To be new. We were doing things the same way for quite a while when Coach Entz was here, and we had a lot of good things going on too. But it was time for a change, and we were looking at changing whether we made a change in coaches or not. But we have a lot of good athletic kids, and I thought that with our 4 down front, we were kind of handicapping ourselves a little bit with getting kids tied up too much with offensive linemen. So a kid like Matt Catterley, we're trying to get these long, lanky kids to be able to run and play out in space a little bit more, kind of the same philosophy that we have offensively, and to get that on the defensive side. And what that does is it creates a lot of one-on-one matchups for offensive linemen who would now have to block speed instead of blocking guys that are right in front of them all the time. So with only 3 guys down and we got guys coming off the edges, we really don't know. A lot of times we'll bring 4 or 5 guys, just don't know where they're coming from.
Right.
And that causes some problems. So if we get a good hold or handle on how the offense is scheming their pass protection, you can really tear after it with this 3-4 defense.
All right, tell us a little bit about the injury situation. There were a couple of kids that got banged up we saw on the sidelines. How are you doing injury-wise?
Actually pretty good. We came into Sunday and kids were doing pretty well. We held out Eric Steiny and also Eric Swan. Both those kids didn't play last week, and we'll see if we get them back this week. So we got by with holding them out a week, and really from the game we didn't have anybody that's going to be out. So it's kind of nice. Of course, we're kind of get some bumps and bruises we got to deal with, but I think Tuesday in practice we should have everybody there and ready to go for the week.
I know you said about Eric Swan you wanted to hold him out for a while and kind of see how he was doing after he had that hip flexor injury. How is he doing?
He's doing much better. He was in practice on Thursday last week, and we're taking it slow with him. It's a long season, and he's had a long history of injury, so we want to really take care of him because you saw what he could do in the first game, and now you match that up with what Engel just did and get them both back on the field and see what can happen. But the biggest thing is that if he's not healthy, he can't help us, and when he does, he can really help us. So we need to nurse that along and make sure he is ready to go.
Okay, St. Cloud State is this weekend, and they're coming off a 35-10 win over Concordia St. Paul. What are some of the things that you have to look out for with this Husky team?
Well, they got very good speed at receiver. They throw out of the pistol formation or out of the gun, so they're going to be winging it around a little bit. So obviously we have some concerns about that. One of their receivers is a Fred Williams kid, and he was a Division I transfer, and he's a very good athlete. So we'll have to knock him around a little bit if we can. And also their running game was pretty good last week. They had a couple of runners that ran for the ball, and their top back didn't play. It was top back from last year. It was also fun to see Chad Peterson from Winona. It was really fun to see Chad get 17 carries last week, and I'm going to call him this week and see if he'll just take the day off for us, being from Winona. But it'll be nice to see Chad. I'm glad he's fit in up there at St. Cloud. Very excited for him.
All right, you see the upcoming schedule after St. Cloud State. You're at Upper Iowa, and then back home October 2nd against Minnesota State Mankato. So a lot of good football coming up. That's when things kind of get scary. Not that any game isn't scary, but the Mankato and then Duluth right after that. Those are games that I know you're not looking at yet, but kind of scary games on the schedule.
Well, it's a great schedule. We're at home. We even take a day trip this week, and then we're back. Another day trip down to Upper Iowa. So the schedule is setting us up for that big 3-game stretch there in the middle that you're alluding to. And one of them's homecoming, and the other one's at night. So I mean, you can't ask for anything better about that. So we need to take care of business before we get there, and then see what happens.
All right. Good luck this week, Coach.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us here on Warrior Wrap Up. We'll see you next week here on Channel 25.